Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2021 horror thriller Wrong Turn. Now this is a film that is directed by Mike P. Nelson and it stars Charlotte Vega, Emma Dumont, Matthew Modine, Daisy Head and Bill Sage. Now this essentially is the reboot, reimagining of the early noughties film Wrong Turn. Now it's a film that I have actually seen, Wrong Turn, and it's a decent enough film, you know, for what it is. And I know they went on to make however many sequels they made. I think they made 5 or 6 sequels, and to be perfectly honest, I haven't seen any of the sequels. I generally check out when they go down the direct to DVD type sequels on these horror franchises. But the first one I think is beloved by many, and maybe some of the sequels are quite good too. While I think the first, the early first film is decent enough, I'm not particularly bothered that they decided to reboot this franchise. I don't mind it when they remake films, generally speaking. They don't always turn out particularly well, I think that's fair to say. But I didn't have a problem with them doing that with this. And what do we get with this Wrong Turn? Well, it's a similar setup to what you may remember. A bunch of, young adults go to the Appalachian Trail or something, which is like the backwater place of America. They are warned to stay on the trail and not stray off that path. But guess what? They do, and then they come into contact with some not very nice locals. Matthew Modine plays the father of one of these girls that goes missing, who is investigating her disappearance, which we see at the beginning. Right. That's all I want to say about the film, because I don't want to give spoilers away. What did I think of this film? I'll be honest, not a lot. There's so much wrong with this film, it's difficult to know really where to start. I'll start with the positives, I guess. Now, I thought the setup was okay, apart from the fact the film starts with Matthew Modine searching for his daughter. So, you could argue that immediately removes some of the tension, because, her and some of the characters are already missing. And then it jumps back 6 weeks or something like that. And then we get the story of his daughter and her friends, as I mentioned at the beginning. So the setup's okay, they go to this local town, they fall out with a couple of the locals, they go on this trail, and then lo and behold it all goes pear-shaped. Now, right up until it all goes pear-shaped, the film's okay. I think it's got a decent setup. Apart from the stereotypes that it does on, the Deep South and all this kind of stuff, which I'm sure some people won't be particularly impressed with, but nevertheless it's there. The setup's okay. There's a scene early on in the film when they're on the trail where this huge log goes down this hill at them, which I think is pretty nicely done, pretty tense. They camp out one night, and there's you see the spooky shadows in the woods and all this kind of stuff, and then you feel like they're being stalked, and they feel like they're being stalked, and it's all building up to this collision or this thing happening. And then when this thing happens, it's like, what? Is that it? It completely ruined the film in ways I can only really. It's hard to explain how badly it ruins the movie. Not only does it ruin the movie, but it ruins the whole Wrong Turn mythos or lore or whatever you want to call it. It removes itself, I think, from ever being connected to the Wrong Turn films, unless there is a connection to the sequels. I'm not really sure. I think in the early production it was called Wrong Turn: The Foundation, but now I think it's just called Wrong Turn. And honestly, the reveal was massively underwhelming, ridiculous, opened up a whole range of plot holes that I can't really talk about because it will ruin the film. But the film for me felt like two separate films. The first part of the film I thought was decent and watchable and a reasonable setup for what you was hoping was the real horror to take place in this, horror film. And then the second part of the film is moronic, really. I think it's really terrible, and they drop the ball so badly. And again, I nearly said it. There's so many things I want to talk about this second part of the film, but I can't do it because it will spoil the film, and I don't want to give spoilers away. But needless to say, anybody with a brain watching this film, when the second half of the film takes place, you'll be scratching your head and thinking, what are you doing? What is this? They dress up like Groot and stalk people in the woods, and then there's people in the town give explanations as to who they are in the woods, and then again that just raises more questions like, what? How's that happened? How's that been allowed to to go on for so long? Craziness, madness, and it just bothered me, this film. It bothered me as to how films like this treat their audience sometimes, really, and how they get it so massively wrong, in regards to telling a story and the narrative and the plot holes and all the rest of it. And to say nothing of the fact that quite a lot of these characters are quite dislikable. The characters that you're supposed to be rooting for are generally quite dislikable. The one I actually rooted for most was Matthew Modine. To be honest, everybody else I didn't really care about. So, to summarise then, Wrong Turn, is this a film you should see? Probably not. If you're a fan of the franchise, I would probably say steer well clear away from this one, because I personally think they've ruined it, and that's me saying that with not a great deal of knowledge on the franchise. Like I say, I've only seen the first one, but for me, I just think it's a bad film, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Not very good at all, not very scary. Yes, there are also a couple of graphic moments in the film of violence, but yeah, it probably would have been better to have separated itself completely from the Wrong Turn franchise, or just called itself something else. It might have got away with it a little bit more, but not much, to be honest, because at the very core of it, it's just not a very good film. So yeah, 4 out of 10 from me. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you liked this review. I hope you found it useful. I will be back, of course, with more content on the channel very, very soon.